What's up, everybody? I am Kenzie.
I'm AT, and this is Sippin.
This ain't a sip and see.
But come sip and see.
Change perspectives.
You sound better, yeah.
The spirits are shown.
Get into it. If you're not into it,
Our words, our action.
I am.
Sippin',
A Gen Z millennial vibe.
Sippin', a Gen Z millennial vibe.
We gonna get into it.
Yes.
We just need to go ahead and get this thing going.
I am.
What are you sipping?
Today I am sipping on some water.
Oh, good.
Just some plain old water.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I never
What are
learned
you
my
sipping?
lesson. I once again have come in from brunch where I had 2 Bloody Marys and several mimosas, and now I'm sipping, my same Tropicana. I don't like that name for it, but my tropical soiree. That's what I'll call it. A tropical soiree. Vodka, a little pineapple, lemon, and mango juice.
That's what this episode should be called, a tropical soiree.
A tropical soiree. I like it. You see how we found that? What is that episode about? What is the tropical soiree about?
Ooh, today's episode is all about really what's happening in pop culture with black folk right now. There's some stuff going down.
Isn't it always something going down? Always something going down. Well, let's get into it. What are we starting with on today?
Today we're going to start talking about Lisa Ray McCoy and the Bratz little coming together for for Lisa Ray's birthday. Where Debrat appeared on Queens with Cocktails to wish her sister a happy birthday, and Lisa Ray wasn't too happy about it. Debrat almost got cussed out.
She certainly did almost get cussed out, and I couldn't tell whether she was scared or whether she was confused that you really gonna act like this in front of folk who are not in the family. I know we all cool, but this our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she looked like she was really caught off guard.
She did, and she almost kind of looked like she expected it, though. She did say at one point she kind of expected that her sister would react in that way because they haven't spoken in so long. So she comes on to this nationally syndicated show to wish her sister a happy birthday when they haven't spoken off screen in some months. And there was news that broke about Debrat entering this relationship with a woman, her first public relationship with a woman, mind you. And Lisa Ray hadn't been told any of this information. She felt slighted as her sister. And we got to see a bit of that reaction.
So what we all need to understand is that their beef runs much deeper than Debrat not expressing this relationship to her sister, especially because, Lisa Ray talked about, I've always, supported you in that area. I want to see everybody be happy and in love, and so this is how you going to come share your newfound joy with me.
We're going to have to drop a clip. We're going to have to drop a clip for that moment.
Brad, what do you have to say for Lisa Ray? Are you surprised that she's having this reaction, or?
No, I'm not surprised. We kind of been a little bit distant or whatever, so I know she's really surprised because, I have a whole new significant other situation, and I was kind of scared to talk to her about it. I don't know, so yeah, I haven't seen her or talked to her in a long time, but we text from time to time and stuff, but I haven't seen her since COVID for real, and before that. So this was great for me. And Punk, you know how much I love you.
I appreciate you coming out and verbally saying happy birthday to me this kind of way, because I damn sure ain't heard from you in months.
Watching, what you say it's called?
Queens with Cocktails.
Queens with Cocktails. And it sounds very C-list. Like, it sounds, and I was just like, so that I see those involved, and I'm just like, oh, so these are like the barely made it folk.
No. Vivica A. Fox has a good career.
I think the only reason why we say that is because she did Kill Bill. That's the only reason why. Other than that, she would be... I'm so serious.
Wow.
Other than that, and maybe because she dated 50 Cent, which she really loved him because she tried to talk about all the pegging they used to do.
Right.
And, some straight black men like to be pegged. So it's okay. Like, y'all need to open yourselves up to the potential that your body can feel. But
can be penetrated. By love and other things.
Love and things, and maybe that man wants you, cis woman, to penetrate him. He don't want nobody else to penetrate. He wants you to do it. That's
some love and happiness.
I can't do that today. But I just have always thought of Vivica Fox. I mean, I will let her have it. She's a B. I will give her B.
A B, okay. B-list actress.
We can give her B, yeah.
Kenzie has said Vivica A. Fox is a B-list actress.
Don't do that.
Just so you all know, that is the news on the street, according to Kenzie.
I can't. Okay, as long as the people know. Okay?
But no, we do have to say, about this whole situation, for me, it really struck me because... Debrat was really coming out to her sister publicly for the first time. They hadn't had a conversation about her dating this woman at all. And that was part of what Lisa Ray was upset about, too. And she felt that her sister hadn't been forthcoming with her, and that there's obviously some type of break going on within their relationship. And Lisa Ray was more upset about that part of it seems, that she has kind of been left out of the fold in terms of all this news and this new relationship, and Debrat coming out as lesbian publicly. So
I just always think that there's so much to say in response to that. I'm first interested to know who's the older sister, and then I'm interested to know, too, like, what's the dynamic of their relationship. I also, I always think that, like, and the reason why I ask about the dynamic of the relationship is because I think, pride, family stuff is supposed to be with the family.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I was raised. Like, you just don't, involve other people, even your other family members who are outside the immediate family. Which I think that's a little, drastic. But you don't involve them in your immediate family life. And so I wonder if she felt like that was the only way to reach her sister.
And I will say, too, they've appeared on, I think it was Growing Up Hip Hop, maybe. But Debrat was on there, and, like, the two of them had some scenes together and showing how close their sisterhood it really was. So they have had a, like, strong bond in the past. And so it seems like this has been, like, a kind of new break between the two of them.
I don't know that, because what I do know is that folks in the limelight like to perform. Okay, so you don't know what kind of relationship they have had. Keep your family business to yourself. How about that?
How about that?
Because it backfired, Debrat. It backfired. I really want to think through, since we are in the time of the Black woman, which I had a very interesting conversation about that during brunch. I will save it for later because I want to make sure that when I do talk about this moment, I have all of my words together, because my thoughts are just unique, I will say. But anyway, Real Housewives of Potomac this season has been quite a spectacle.
Truly.
So it should be no secret, if you follow the show, that Candace and Monique came to blows, and the season was set up on this moment.
Candace with an I.
Candace popped in the eye. And I was just like, Monique didn't get her good enough. That's why she was running around that corner, because she was like, I didn't get her good enough. She needed just a little bit more.
I do not condone violence.
I mean, I don't condone it per se, but sometimes a bitch needs to get popped. And Candace was a bitch, and everybody knows I don't mean that as a gendered term, who needed to be popped. And it was about time that spoiled little entitled brat get popped.
Well, can you set up this whole scenario for those who may not watch the show?
Yeah, so I think I can. So the whole season literally was set up. First episode was set up for this contentious moment that happens, and you hear the Grand Dame screaming, "Monique, let her go!" You know, and we just like, "Ooh, uh-oh.
Speak your piece.
Speak your piece." That is never going to get old. That
it won't.
Never gonna get old. Oh my God, right. You know, so we're like, what happened? And so, you know, and they also talk about how, like, in the previous season, which I didn't, you know, watch Potomac regularly prior to this. Well, I stopped watching after the fight because that's really all I wanted to see. But if I can be real. No. So they talk about how, like, they had some contention in their friendship, you know, like they were like big sister, little sister, and there was some contentious thing that happened, and then they like made up on the reunion, you know, Monique's crying. I could see in Candace's eyes that she was fake as fuck, but, you know, and I think that's why Monique was so upset with her, because she was just like, girl, like, you know, I'm really trying to, like, come to you with some sisterhood, and you know, you fake. You know, like that's what it looked like to me. And so I think in this season is, you know, basically them trying to maintain a friendship, but while Monique is like, no, you really kind of fake. Like, you just are not it. So Ashley gets there, and she asks about, you know, if they're okay. And Candace starts running off at the mouth, you know, and Monique says, I'm going to meet her where she's at. And that's what it is. And that's where the conversation should have ended. But what will a yapping dog do? Yap, yap, yap. And so that's why sometimes you gotta pop a bitch so they stop yapping. You know?
Candace repeatedly said, what was her famous line?
Oh,
drag me. Monique, drag me.
Drag me then. Yeah, but see, that's how you know she ain't got no fight before. Because I'm like, be careful what you ask for.
Yikes. I mean, there was a lot of provocation happening. I will agree with that. And it was really both sides. It really was a kind of 50-50 split. But Monique, when she got a hold of her, she went in.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't stop. She didn't want to stop.
It was a blessing that there were so many people around and security was there.
Yeah.
Because that little rodent girl would have gotten...
Not rodent.
Yeah, she's like a little squirrel. So she looks like a little, you know, I won't give her chipmunk. She's a squirrel. But, yeah. You know, and I mean, I think that Monique got petty when she flipped the girl's hair. Like, that was,
she did.
You know, that was petty. But I think also what's interesting about this situation is the ways in which it took this legal turn, which I think is so, you know, ridiculous. And the only reason why, you know, it did that because that girl dragged you. And you were mad.
Yep.
But she did what you asked her to do.
Drag me, Monique!
Now,
she filed second-degree assault charges against her.
Oh, not second degree.
Second degree.
Wow. That's crazy. What do you take of Karen Huger's, support of trying to help Monique to this moment and getting the other ladies to understand, but then also telling Candace that if she was in the situation, she would press charges.
I think Karen has really kind of solidified her position as the eldest woman in this group of women. And she tries to act as kind of this almost maternal figure toward the younger cast members, particularly Candace, of course. They have that older sister, younger sister, auntie, whatever vibe.
Okay, I'm about to say auntie, mama. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But, I think it's interesting because Karen now, she has to kind of toe that line and be friends to both of these young women who she tries to mentor to uphold her own kind of image as the grande dame who can, give advice when it's needed and help these younger women come to see the light and, make good decisions in their lives. I think it's fake of her, though, to do that, to tell Candace to file those charges while also consoling Monique and acting as if it's all cool.
Well, I didn't think that I don't know how the conversation went. Did she tell her to do it, or did she ask, or was she asked what would you do if you were in that situation?
So Karen basically said to Candace, if it were me, I would have pressed charges immediately after the incident.
But you also sit there, when you were talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and talking about how we can have two truths, in one moment. She can support Monique, but always saying, bitch, if you had popped me, that's what I would have done.
And I will say, too, she did hold Monique accountable. When she held the meeting of the cast members at her house, she told Monique, what you did was wrong, outright. You shouldn't have done it. And so I'll give her credit for that.
I'm so interested in, especially just because randomly it's been coming up in conversation this weekend, it came up twice before this conversation. But just, this idea of, fighting and even you said, I don't condone violence. And, but the thing is that as we know, emotions do run wild. People do horrible things in a fit of rage, and they don't understand how it came to pass. You know what I'm saying? And so,
snapped.
They're snapped. Yeah, snapped. I mean, definitely. And I told you, I think that's why, I watch, that's my, guilty pleasure. I watch fight videos because that level of emotion is so fascinating to me. Most times when folk are fighting, it's over petty reasons. I just be like, oh, okay, you're not a good friend, so that means I don't see you.
Right.
That's for me. That's how that would be. What they were fighting about, was out of control. Now I wonder how many glasses of wine them folk had.
That part.
That's what they do on them reality TV sets. They get them liquored up.
Get them drunk.
So they can act toe up.
Mm-hmm. But really, in this season, I have tried to really hone in on the power of the tongue. And using my words very carefully in terms of when I need to defend myself or talk to someone about something.
Or read someone.
Yeah, there's really a power in that. And it's so important, really, when you're able to use language in a way when the things you don't say, the spaces in between the lines that you make, really drop that message. And that is the beauty.
That is definitely good. Or you have put your words together so fiercely that you have stopped and arrested that person and they don't know what to do. For me, that's mine. That's why I love words so much.
Yes.
That's why, I classify it as a shapeness, because language, once you master language,
it's a great time.
It is a power that many don't have.
You know who does have it?
Who?
Claudia Jordan.
Oh. to say that I have not enjoyed reading something as much as I enjoyed reading. I used to call Phaedra's was the read heard around the world, but I do think that this one tops that one. It certainly does.
Let me see if I can read an excerpt.
Oh, you must. I love what she kept saying, but you gave me the green light.
Right. Okay.
Because she was like, I don't read it. But you gave me the green light.
Claudia Jordan, y'all, had to come for Nene Leakes on Instagram because Nene had laughed at her after she had posted about getting abused by a man. And so Claudia told Nene, oh, you think laughing at a woman getting whipped by a man is okay? All right, since you want to laugh at my abuse, I now have the green light to laugh at the abuse your surgeon been doing to that face. She said, once again, you overpaid. You hate women and seeing others happy and things not being about you, period. Let Cynthia have this moment. As much as I don't fuck with you, I never laugh at you getting hurt by some man. But that's typical Nene, evil and miserable with a rotten spirit.
She goes on to say so much more. And I think what's really interesting is that, this is definitely one of those moments when people show you, themselves, believe them. I know I butchered that quote. But when they reveal themselves, believe them. This is not the first time Nene has made a joke or spoken lightly about, physical abuse. Remember when she was trying to do that comedy tour, which I never understood why anybody would send Nene on a comedy tour, because she's funny like, girl, you crazy, but not like skilled to be putting jokes together, and she made that joke about being raped by an Uber driver.
Yep.
So we understand how, I don't want to call her class. I actually like Nene. Even in her rough moments. I say crazy things all the time. I mean, I wouldn't be saying no things like that, but just how she does not think before she speaks. And maybe she is, nasty and miserable in that way. And if that's true, then she's got a lot to work on, in her middle age, But what was fascinating to me is that, this was all in response, wasn't it? Like, was she not responding to this, what was it? So Nene tried to launch a show?
Nene did try to launch a show, The Reading Room. And it was a flop.
And so this is perfect for my research. Because, see, y'all going to stop trying to take Black queer culture and trying to do with it what you want to do, because you don't know what reading really is. And you don't have the power, to stand. I mean, I think Black folk read. I think we all do. I think that's, but it was Black queer folk who named it reading. And so when you try to do the reading room, and talking about throwing shade, from this heterosexual purview, like it's just not, it's not going to work because that's not your culture.
He said no weapon formed against
me. Y'all got mad.
It won't work.
When Kim Kardashian wear the braids, well, y'all straight folk be doing the same thing. That's why when I hear about, them being homophobic and transphobic, I'm just like, if it wasn't for a queer person, you would be looking raggedy. And it's a queer, you probably still look raggedy, but it was a queer person that made you look your very best. You know what I'm saying? It was a queer designer that you're wearing. Y'all running around wearing Versace and things. You know what I'm saying? That queer man died on your behalf, in your honor. So, but anyway, that's what she gets. She tried to do this thing. Funky Dineva, all of them talked about how, where was the budget, all of these things. They said, it looked hood, it looked, low budget, but...
I mean, she filmed it in her new restaurant called the Lenithia, named after herself, of course. It was empty. She just had the booths in there, and that's where they were filming. And they were filming it on an iPhone, it looked like. And there was no editing done to it either, so that was interesting.
It's challenging to discuss that because I'm just like, well, we're in the age of mediocrity. So, and she doesn't have, in terms of television, she doesn't have any really real talent, you know. So it's clear to me that no, I mean, you know, she's funny, you know, she's the sarcastic friend, the friend that says crazy things, the friend that can go off, you know, that's her talent, you know, but that's not talent in terms of art and creation and putting
and hosting
together
a show.
Right, you know, and I'm not sure I would want to watch her host a show anyway. I definitely wouldn't want to sit in no restaurant called the Lenithia, you know.
Well, you know, word on the street is Nene had her own talk show in the works with one of the big studios, but Wendy Williams had it chopped because she didn't want competition with another black woman hosting a talk show. But this was some years ago, back in...
but you never forget nothing like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You never forget that. You never forget that. You don't forget anything. If that's true, you don't forget that. That's crazy. Yep. I didn't know that. That's out of control. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been friends with her.
You know that's a fake friendship.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, you know, karma, I'm telling you something, karma is something, you know, because we praying for Wendy Williams. You know, I was watching the show 2 Fridays ago, and I said, oh, she lit. She's lit up. And that's not liquor.
Nope.
She on something. A pill or something. She toe up. And so we're going to wish her a speedy recovery. Yes. You got to get her back in the
I pray for her health, and I hope she has a good support system looking out for her.
I want to go back, though, to Claudia Jordan's read real quick, just because what I found is that she talked about how nobody wants to work with her, you know, and the way Claudia spoke so clearly, it was just like she's like the fall of the queen. You know, and which I thought was gracious because that she's like, even if it's Reed, I'm gonna give you, you know, your roses. You were, you know, I mean, she was on Glee, like you were popping. Mm-hmm. You know, you had the potential to really ride this wave, but you know, your nastiness has brought you down. And so that's what we need to learn. That's what many folk need to get at. You know, you out here thinking you cute and you fabulous and have all the power. Because like Nene said before, was she saying that when Claudia read her again fiercely? She was like, I got a husband, something you don't have, you know.
That's a business partner at this point.
I think that's my favorite. I think my favorite read of all time. Your clit has left your body.
I know she had to dig for that one because that was out the gutter. That hit that cut low.
Your clit has left your body.
Like, we all said, "Wow." Everybody at that table said, "Wow." Is that even possible? Nene, your mind.
I think that was a moment when I was like starting to dislike Nene, and that made me like her again.
I can't. That moment, though, really, when I watched that scene, like it feels so vile, like it feels nasty, like everything they were saying to one another. It just, I can't watch it too much.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Claudia had to leave the show because she really should have stayed because nobody has ever gone toe to toe in that way with me and been able to stand. You know, and she was very cavalier with her, you know, hubris, and I was just like, oh, they can't. Nene probably was like, she's got to go. She's got to go.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
And in a hurry. Well, I hope that all this work will bring up Claudia Jordan to at least a C+.
Where does she stand right now?
I don't even know if she has a mark. Laura, speaking of marks. With these straight black men and their investment in capitalism and their going to bed with white supremacy.
That's all they know. That's the only way they know how to advance.
Is the dollar, right?
Yes. I mean, Jay-Z and Beyonce are constantly telling us, just get that wealth up, you'll be good. Get that, stack that paper,
and I
you'll be
think that is,
good.
I think that is good information. But what the problem is that, you know, particularly for Black people, you know, and I'm not like saying that this is necessarily a weakness. I just think that there's a particular way in which you engage with your audience, right? And so I think with Black folks, you just can't say flippant things like that, you know, because what getting money to you and build my wealth up to you I might interpret that much differently, you know, and particularly when wisdom and education is put in place. You know, you got some folks, you got to walk them through it. You know, like there's a whole, you in a whole different socio-economic bracket than all of us.
Right.
So you're going to get money and building wealth is going to look different than mine.
Exactly.
But also, I think that these situations are really kind of supporting what folk are saying when they're talking about, you know, how straight Black folk really want the same access and power as white people. They're not really thinking about equality, you know, because of the ways in which, you know, straight Black men treat women, or Black men treat women, and the ways in which Black folk treat queer folk, the way queer folk treat trans folk, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which it's all about power, right? You know, but I'm just like, I don't understand why you would ever think that this individual would be supportive to you and would assist you and help you in this great fight that you think you're fighting.
And to name names, we talking about Ice Cube and Lil Wayne getting into business with Trump. And 50 Cent getting into business with Trump.
Although 50 Cent came back and said something stupid like, fuck Trump, I changed my mind, fuck Trump, something like that. Oh, I had the biggest crush on 50 Cent in college. I used to have I've never had posters of men on my wall. I used to have a poster of him on my wall in college.
You want to go to the candy shop?
Oh, I want him to play in mine.
But back to this deal that Ice Cube has made with Trump. The contract with Black America is the plan that Ice Cube has presented to President Trump and has agreed to work on with him. And it's supposed to supposedly bring more jobs and to include initiatives such as neighborhoods with the highest policing standards and replacing failing schools with full school choice. It's being called the Platinum Plan.
I do think that we all have our role to play in this effort to level the playing field for Black people. I think most of us should not be trying to engage with the government because this country is based in divisiveness, and divisiveness in terms of race. So I don't understand why it would compute in his mind that this particular president would support and understand whatever kind of presentation he's trying to, business plan he's trying to create. It just baffles me. This is a president who has children locked up in cages, little Latinx children locked up in cages, have, spoken about communities, that only consist of gangs and rapists, shithole countries. Like he is, and then of course has told the Proud Boys to stand down, but stand by. I said, like, I wasn't getting into the conversations about him being a bigot, but in that moment, I was like, okay, y'all, Robert E. Lee is back, y'all. And we weren't clear before, we're clear now.
And for me, I really just think about how really young this country is in the kind of grand scheme of the world. This country was established in 1776. It's only 244 years old. Like, this Constitution can go. The Constitution is literally based on the slave system. Like, when it was written, most of the men who wrote it owned slaves. So they were not writing with us in mind at all. So it is okay for us to have conversation about, getting rid of that, maybe starting over or altering it in ways that are actually equitable for the entirety of the population in this country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, which I think broadened my thought about, the incessant need for this country to atone. And I think you're right that with that, we need to reconfigure the foundation in which this country stands. You're absolutely right. That's what we need to be calling for, along with reparations. Like, we need to be calling for the redesign of the United States of America. That's what has to happen.
That's the work to be done.
It is. Like, it's true. Like, I'm fired up, inside right now, because I'm like, that's what, and this is what the work that Black people do. We need to think about, the ways in which we have to engage with these folks. We have to be very strategic. So screaming reparations is not going to do it. But to say this country is built on a system that is no longer, it's no longer relevant because it looks as if it is not in place, but it's still in place in these ways that are covert for you, but very obvious for us, And so we have to redesign this, and you also need to recompense, give me my coin, or give me something, so that, all is fair game. Then we can be talking about equality, brotherhood, liberty, and all these things. But when we say it now, it's just not.
That's not a reality.
It isn't a reality. It's a lie. It is. It's a lie. It's a lie. And I'm tired of everybody performing. But y'all not good at it. The ones doing it on the screen and the ones doing it in the street. Uh-oh.
That's why it's a dream. We gotta wake up.
We do, right. Y'all been riding that I have a dream wave too long. Now it's time to wake up. Thank you, Martin Luther King. Oh, Lord. Well, speaking of political leaders, we really are in trouble. I think the Republicans, too, have shown that they are liars and they are sneaky, and they have decided to confirm. What's this little lady's name?
Not little lady, Amy Coney Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Amy Coney Barrett. Okay. Well, she's going to have 3 names to sit in the woman's seat.
No, Sonia Sotomayor. She only got 2. She good.
Oh, that's right. I forget about her. I don't know none of them except for Clarence Thomas. That's terrible. And only know about him because of his scandal in the 90s.
Well.
But, I think from her peddling this little black Haitian child to... She got 2?
She got 2 of them. Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the other one. There's 2 Haitian children?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad he's not there by himself. That's good. I'm glad he's not
now
there.
Now,
it's so sad when it's just them and all the white children. But at least he got another one. I hope that
at least
they can
you have some company.
Yeah, slap 5, behind folks' backs. No, he looked very happy walking around with his family. I think for me, it's more about the ways in which these Republicans have been clearly underhanded. They clearly, have these agendas. And I really feel like it goes beyond being conservative. I don't know what it is, but I think it goes beyond because I don't know if it's, just, control of humanity. But it's very scary. It's a very scary thing.
For me, when I wrap my head around what conservatism is, it seems as if they are after the ultimate idea of freedom, meaning doing whatever to whoever, but also having control over one's own life and immediate family. Of course, that's that. But also just freedom to really do whatever, like in terms of taxes, not being taxed at all. Like they don't want to be taxed. They don't want government involvement at all. They don't care for social programs to help those in need. So it's like this idea of really that American dream of everyone trying to strive for this capital success, no matter the cost, and having no consequences, really. That's what I think of it as.
Well, when you just said all of that, you just reminded me, and I think it relates to what we were just talking about. It just seems like somebody's going to always be in slavery.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? In the ways in which you were talking about power, I'm like, oh, so enslavement, we need to think about it. It looks like so many different things. I don't know why, in terms of conservatism, and it's always rooted, I guess, with some religious, undergirded by religion. I don't understand why anybody would want to feel like they can tell someone what they can and cannot do with their body. But also, you're attempting to take away health support from millions of people, claiming that this system is not a good one and we need to get rid of it. And it may not be the best. I think it is flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that part of your disdain for this system is rooted in your bias in race, because it was a system created by somebody black. But beyond that, you want to disenfranchise millions of folk for what? Especially when you don't have anything tangible to put in its place.
Mm.
And it just reminds me of how folk really think that they are out in the world, thinking that they are, living with strong moral values as they try to peddle this woman and her Catholic faith. And I'm like, you're wishing to hurt lots of people.
Mm.
And you think you are good and qualified to mark the law? But it's just so, it's so confusing to me, and especially, of course, that, the separation of church and state. And I'm like, every time they say that, I'm like, but this country is based off of,
the whole pledge is like,
yeah,
to God,
exactly. And I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? Before, the queer folk could get married, y'all were saying we couldn't because that's not what God wants. But I said, what about the separation of church? I'm not even going to go with how that rhetoric is incorrect, but
yeah,
everything is a bit contradiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is another reason why I'm saying, black folk, why y'all trying to work with this government and this system? They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
And Amy Coney Barrett has never tried a case. She's never prosecuted in a court of law. She's only been a professor and has worked in a court of appeals in a 7th District Circuit Court. I don't understand. I do understand. I mean, our current president is a reality TV star and a businessman, so I do understand.
I mean, also, well, at least she studied it.
Sis couldn't even fully name the First Amendment, all the rights listed in the First Amendment. She had difficulty with that.
I can't either, but
see, she's supposed to be qualified to do that. Like, to sit on the Supreme Court, she should be able to do that.
Oh, Lord. Well,
she's a constitutional scholar. She should know to do that.
Well, we'll see when you become a scholar. We'll see how you're going to be the one. I think it's on page 78 in the second anthology that. Oh my God! Yeah. Well, I mean, God bless us all.
Truly,
we are in a world full of trouble, and I'm praying for us. Yeah, I mean, like when the George Floyd incident happened, I'm just like, I am of the mindset, tear it all down. Tear it down because it needs to be torn down to be built back up. And so if that's what needs to happen, then tear it down. Yeah, I said it. Well, speaking of tearing it down, the queer kids are really, really making themselves known in the world of fighting. I think it was during Pride that there was this, fight that happened. Somebody recorded it through a few porn artists. And it was clarified later. I mean, I'm sure the folk who are obsessed and who exalt these porn stars, they were aware at the time who was in the video, because I think in that video somebody was like, "Oh, I love their work." I saw somebody.
I love that.
That was very funny. And so then I think the video reemerges, and Cash De Niro makes some video, where he's exclaiming about the ways in which Yardie Style have very interesting porn names these days. Yardie Style, with his colored contacts, was trying to holler at him. Now, I'm just also trying to be like, but you was going to let him beat. So why are you talking about his colored contacts? And it's okay. Y'all need to really unlearn these very stupid ideas of what masculinity is. But anyway, because you still was
say that.
Say that. Now, color contacts are just whack. But he was insinuating something else. But anyway, apparently, like, he was, reaching out to him, talking about, how he wanted, he's so beautiful. Good morning, beautiful. I was dreaming about you. These are Cash De Niro's words. He's fucking, I am beautiful. Like, you all right. You another little, like, possum, rodent. But still cute. The cute one. Like a hamster. Everybody thinks hamsters are so cute. And everybody doesn't feel that way, but they are, charming. But anyway, but I guess apparently Yardie Style came to Atlanta during Pride and had sex with Cash De Niro's ex, Rico Pruitt. Cash De Niro is talking about how this boy then comes to Atlanta and has sex with Rico Pruitt and a slew of other folk. Now, I don't think that's what the fight is about. I don't know why they were fighting. But then recently, after that, another video, and we later find out that now Rico Pruitt, who has left, the relationship with him and Cash De Niro is over. He's now in a throuple. with fame, and some little boy whose name I can't pronounce. I don't understand what it's supposed to be. But anyway, they are supposed to all be in a throuple, which I think that's cute in terms of the representation of, I guess, what love and intimacy can look like. But apparently there was this fight with the boy with the name in which we don't know or can't say, gets in a fight with JD Blackstone. And it's interesting because somebody made this video where I guess they were going back and forth on social media, like on like a Periscope or something like that, or like an IG Live or something. You know, the whole like, I'll send you my address right now, all of that foolishness. And then you see them fighting, and J.D. Blackstone did get his little ass whooped.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I think this is so interesting to me. You know, there were lots of fights that looked like that during Pride, you know, and I was wondering, you know, because I mean, you know, if you go out to a gay nightclub, you know, it is not, especially in the South, you know, it is not uncommon that a fight will break out. In fact, you probably can bet that a fight will break out that night, you know, but they happen. They generally don't get that intense, you know, unless security is not doing their job. You know, they're not standing by, you know, and standing down. But, you know, these fights would look really like intense. And I was like, you can't be that mad because he kissed your man, or like I mean, maybe somebody would. I don't know. You know, he grabs his dick. I don't know, like, you know, and I learned that a lot of these fights they spawned from Twitter beef. And I just think that is so stupid. But I think that's where we are in society. I mean, like, even when people, like, that come in, I just read this girl on Facebook. And I just be like, so you know you're the one who looks stupid because you were arguing with someone who you've never met before.
Right.
Whom you have no idea who they are. That's so stupid, you know. Or the other associate of mine who was like, asked me what was my response or what have I been doing, you know, in lieu of the George Floyd situation, you know, and I talked about some creative work that I had done. He talked about the ways in which he had been getting people together on social media.
Drag me, Monique.
But like you said, this moment has brought a lot of awareness to folk. But yeah, I just don't understand, you know, like, and like having all of this energy toward someone you don't know, or even spending time getting in arguments with people you do know through social media, like that will never make sense to me.
You will never see me on social media going back and forth with somebody just aimlessly. Like, I usually, if I'm going to respond to somebody, it's going to be like a succinct thing and be like, no hard feelings, thank you so much, we're going to move forward. Because really, I feel like social media has created this kind of lack in my generation, especially this kind of, there's this loss of the art of debate. Like, people don't know what it is to actually have a fruitful debate with people. It's always argument and always trying to simply prove yourself right instead of listening to and responding.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. I mean, I was dating this dude, and he asked me, are you listening to understand or listening to be right? Because I don't think that people listen to understand. I also think, you know, that people don't understand that my point of view does not have to be your point of view. Or there are other point of views that you might want to consider, you know? Or just because everybody's doing things this way, that doesn't mean I have to do it.
Yeah.
Also, I thought what was really interesting about this whole situation was I was like, y'all are very incestuous, and you're okay with it. And I don't think that that's like just indicative to this generation. I actually think that maybe that's how many engage, like having sex with folk who are in their circle. That's never been something that I, wanted to do. But I just thought it was interesting, because Cashmere was talking about J.D. Blackstone as his best friend, and were they both on the show? I know J.D. Blackstone was on that show that Rico Pruitt had with Signal 23 TV, Signal TV 23, where it was a dating show. No, were they both on it? Cash De Niro was on it too, wasn't he?
I didn't watch that one. I saw a whole different scripted series on there.
They were like, it was like the black queer version of The Bachelorette. Like The Bachelor. No, Rico Pruitt is a cutie. I think when that little boy wrote that open letter to him, I felt him, because he was just like, you have the potential to be a superstar, and you gonna settle to get flooded on OnlyFans. Shoot higher, okay?
I can't.
But he's a cutie pie. But just how they all, are having sex together. I wonder if scientifically that keeps the STDs down.
Their bodies, their choice.
Their bodies, their choice. You are absolutely right. No, yeah, I just was curious. I just wanted to know the scientific data. No, I certainly am not trying to. But yeah, so I wonder if this is like, a thing, just to round that out. Like, I'm wondering if that's a thing now that, like, really people are taking their social media dialogues to the next level. Which was yet again another conversation. Funny, really, at brunch, we were talking about a situation where my friend got into some social media altercation, and that person was like, when I'm gonna see you, I'm gonna fuck you up. And then they were at a party, and he said he danced and stood by him for 2 hours to see if he was gonna fuck him up.
Drag me, Monique.
He didn't. I wouldn't have stood there that 2 hours. I would have asked him.
Not 2 hours.
I would have been like,
here.
So we supposed to be fighting, aren't we? We're supposed to be getting fucked up, right? Don't talk about it. Be about it. What do you think about the B-Boy Blues and this opportunity that Jussie Smollett has? I think they're already in production to film the adaptation of this book.
I have not read B-Boy Blues, so I'm not too familiar with the story. But I do know Jussie Smollett's production company is called Supermassive Movies, and that just, that feels, it feels nasty. That feels uncomfortable for me just to hear that. I don't like the name of that production company. It feels very bogus to me, but I hope he's able to produce some content that someone enjoys.
Yeah, I think that this is really bad, actually. Not the book, so I'm familiar with the book, it definitely was part of my coming of age as a young queer black boy, in Atlanta. That's where I'm from, but it came out around the time that Elin Harris's book Invisible Life came out, and that was a book that, there were black queer fiction writers before that, Melvin Dixon, with his amazing book called Vanishing Rooms that came out in the 80s. But, Elin Harris came out for me, and my sister happened to have it, I think, so I got to read it, and it definitely informed, my confidence in being black and gay, particularly like, you know, in that knowing that, you know, there was space in the world, you know, for me, and that folks are out here living and having a great time. And so, you know, and then B-Boy Blues is a love story, but it's like the urban version of, I guess, black gay fiction, you know. So I think that, you know, it's an important book. I think it's beautiful that it, you know, is going to be screened. You know, I do think that Invisible Life would probably be a better movie. But I also wonder if I'm getting like caught up in that like classism, because I mean, definitely like these two books are, oddly enough, as I think the setting of B-Boy Blues is in New York. I think so. I think so. Yeah.
It's like a paper boy,
like,
right? The B-Boy is a paper boy?
Like riding on a bike, paper boy?
Yeah, yes, he's a bicycle messenger. Raheem, a Banji boy.
Banji boy, yeah. This is the root of the black gay problem, but that's a whole nother show. Yeah, so like, you know, but basically he's supposed to be the hood boy, and then Mitchell is like, you know, the professional, and they fall in love, you know, and have this relationship. I think there's a part 2 as well. James Earl Hardy was not the best writer, you know, but it was, you know, to me, like he was like giving my Tyler Perry of the time, like I'm, you know, really reading this just because of the content, even though I'm like, I would rather be reading Elin Harris. But, you know, the story was really good. But I think the problem here is that I have a problem that black folk are working really hard to forgive Jussie Smollett and don't really understand how problematic his choices have been, you know, and then specifically in that incident that happened in Chicago, you know, where he claims to have been a victim of racism and homophobia.
Yeah.
And it appears, I know he has not been proven guilty, but we all know that this story doesn't make sense and that it is still an ongoing situation. And he clearly has used these two forces that plague us. He used it for social clout. And I just think it's irresponsible. I think that he need, you know, like, I understand them not wanting to like vilify black men in the public. Like, I get that. I understand it. And I understand that people do strange things to receive fame, but I just don't. I don't support him. I don't support him directing this film. You know, there's some folk who are part of this film who claim to be activists, and I decided I'm not going to mention exactly who I'm talking about because he's fine, but. But it reminds me that people have no integrity, and that, you know, I just don't understand how, if you believe in social justice, how you could align yourself with this person's allow me back into the community, allow me back into the scene project, you know, because that's what this is.
I mean, you know, Miss Speak Your Piece herself is involved in the project. Brandy Evans.
Lamar, speak your piece.
Who was Mercedes in P-Valley. She has been tapped to star in the film, as well as Lettucey. So it's interesting. There is a kind of, I guess, well-rounded cast being put together here. I am concerned. I am concerned as to what this product is going to look like. Is it well-rounded?
It is absolutely not. That's why I'm laughing at that assessment. Well-rounded cast. But okay, keep going.
I think it'll be an interesting end product. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know where I stand with Jussie, to be honest. To be completely honest. I've watched his interviews speaking on that incident that happened in Chicago. Sometimes I feel like he's lying. Other times, it feels like he's giving a half truth at least, but I don't know where to stand with him. I'll watch this just for the story.
Y'all can do what y'all want. You don't know what to do with him. I remember watching Queen Latifah. I mean, my thing is to say, we just gonna support him. That's fine. I don't think that people understand, there's just certain things you don't play with, or you don't use, just like when you be at work and you're trying to figure out a lie to tell them, you say, well, I ain't gonna tell them my grandma died.
Right.
Like you just don't do that. You just, especially in this moment, like that this moment of Black Lives Matter, which has been happening for several years, now I will say I remember when people were like, he's, he'll make it hard. They're never gonna believe, black gay men anymore. And I was just like, that's not true. He ain't our representative.
Right.
He's not. And he's, barely a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Like he became, I feel like, celebrity with Empire.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch it. I haven't decided. I mean, I would like to see it, but I don't support it. I think it's really whack. And I think he's really, we need a resolution, I think, to that.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
We need a resolution, because it's not cool. And I also remember people also talking about mental health. So if the boy has a mental health problem, then we need to, to be explicit about it,
Yeah.
But then that could be a lot too.
I just say support him if you want to, while we can, while he's still with us producing stuff. Support the actors in the project. Just watch it.
I mean, I guess there is that place where truth can exist. I can want to support this film and, not be pleased with who's directing it.
Mm-hmm.
He better do a good job.
Wishing him the best.
That it will not be a supermassive time at the movies.
If the theaters are even open, child.
I won't be going up in there even if they do open.
So, Kenzie,
mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving is coming up. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I think I'm trying to get the family to have some better energy. I invited my friend, Sade. I've invited Sade.
Yes.
To come up. Well, she was supposed to come up last Thanksgiving, but like the day before, I was like, Sade's allergic to everything. And I think I should give her a call. And I called her and I was like, well, it's a big apartment, you'll be fine. And so she decided not to come. So we decided to do over this Thanksgiving, get her a hotel so she can come with the family and hang out. But then she the other day was like, I'm not sure if I'm still coming. I just need to think about it. And I was like, Sade. But I think, my cousin Shelly is like a huge, COVID fanatic. So she's just like, I ain't having people over. And I'm just like, well, girl, we can social distance in here. Like, we can eat all separately. What is the big deal? But it seems like it's going to be just me and my New York family, and I'm already bored by it.
Be thankful. It's Thanksgiving.
You're right. You're right.
You have a nice home to have a meal in. You have food. Some people don't.
What are you doing, AT?
I will be, as far as I know, it'll just be my mom, my brother, and I. And I'll be cooking. I'll be cooking some mac and cheese, a peach pie, of course. Maybe some other sides. Who knows? Whatever my mother requires of me. But yeah, I'll be cooking some.
Who taught you how to cook, your mama?
You know, I feel like watching my parents and also my grandma cook. Yeah.
All right. I saw those little sticky bun cinnamon rolls you made.
Yes.
They look really scrumptious.
They are. They are.
Well, it is time to wrap this all the way up. What are we talking about on our next episode?
The next episode will be us diving deeply into Lovecraft Country. It's time.
Your favorite.
It is time.
Is your favorite. Well, I stopped watching mid-season, so let me go on and catch up.
Catch it up. Catch up.
Do a little binge watching so I can be prepared to discuss all things Lovecraft Country.
Yes.
All right. Well, we thank y'all for listening. Y'all take care.
This ain't a sip and see.
But come sip and see.